Hello, everyone, and welcome. If you or someone that you know owns a small business, then it's likely that you have a few things in common. Number one, you are shut down as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Number two, you sustained pretty significant revenue loss. And number three, it's likely that you're one of 85% of small businesses in the country to have had their claim denied. It's a really, really significant number, so you're not alone. Now, as a small business owner myself, I relate to all you guys. I sympathize with all these small business owners, but I come to you with a possible solution. And to really help us understand this solution, we've actually been able to invite Dan Buttafuoco. He's involved at a very high level with these business interruption claims. And as a recognized attorney, one of the top attorneys in the country, he's definitely a significant authority to help us really understand what is business interruption insurance and how, as a small business owner, you can become eligible. Let's actually bring Daniel Buttafuoco right now. Dan, how you doing?
Hey, Rob, how are you?
Good. Can you hear us all right?
I hear fine. How's the video?
That video looks great. Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. This is a really important topic for small business owners because small businesses are hurting around the entire country. And when you say there might be a possibility for recovery, it definitely perks a bunch of their ears. So if you could, if it's all right, for everyone who's sort of new to this, just in a very simple way, could you just define what is business interruption insurance?
Okay, when you buy a policy, a premises policy for your business, typically the risk that you're looking to insure is for a fire. It's the most common risk. In that policy, you have a provision called business interruption or loss of business income or business income replacement, business coverage. There's a number of different names for it, in which it protects your stream of income while you rebuild your premises while it's shut down. So if you take the typical example, someone has a fire, the most obvious example is a restaurant. While the kitchen is destroyed and you're getting new equipment and you're rebuilding it, you're not making any money. So your insurance company that you have this policy with will replace or cover your income loss while you're closed and rebuilding, usually for a period of several months. Some really good policies have for 12 months. Wow. So I've seen it for as little as 30 days. I've seen it for as much as 12 months actual. That's a better policy.
Now, I got to speak with a number of small business owners from around the country recently. And when you ask them, do you have business interruption insurance? Many of them say no. In your experience, is that true? Could it be maybe they just don't understand it?
I have yet to see a policy of insurance, with the exception of one claim, and I've reviewed about 100 by now, that did not have it. Typically, they send you first the wrong policy. You have to look for the one where your fire insurance is, but we'll do that for them. But pretty much everybody has that. And if it's a significant business, obviously, we're not talking about something that's so small that you don't bother to buy insurance for.
Sure. Now, around the country, I know there were different types of businesses that were affected at different levels. Some businesses were shut down, others were not. Almost all businesses, though, were hurt from this. Did a business have to be shut down in order to maybe qualify for what you're talking about?
Not necessarily, but the best cases are the ones that have been shut down by government. To explain that in a bit, but the absolute best cases are the ones where the government told you that you cannot operate and you must shut down and you lost business because of that. We're looking at some of the major auto groups that are giving us their cases to handle, large restaurants, catering venues, bar mitzvah places, golf courses, sports centers, tennis courts, anything where the government said you cannot open and your revenue is based on being open. And the reason I say it that way is because some people are able to work remotely. Certain lawyers can work remotely. We're working remotely in some ways, not at 100% capacity. But there are ways that you can operate where
Yeah.
you're not so affected by the shutdown. But a restaurant is a really obvious example
Right.
of something that does no business except a little bit of takeout, which is like 10%
Yeah.
if it's closed.
Yeah. You mentioned a bunch of businesses that might be able to qualify for this. What about things like gyms? Would gym owners?
Gym is a perfect example, actually. Right. A gym was perfect because my own gym is closed and you can't get there. And I had to order a set of weights to work out at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the gym is a perfect example. They froze all memberships as of, I think, March 16th. And yes, that's a perfect example of something that lost a lot of money for the 3 to 4 months that it's been closed.
Now, I think, I don't know the exact stats, but I think it's somewhere in the lines of there's about 30 million small businesses in America. And when there was the SBA loan opportunity, and I think it was, the PPP?
Yeah, the CARES Act, they called it.
Exactly. There was this mad rush. And I know there's a number of businesses that sort of got left out in the shuffle here. Now, is there also a cap when it comes to this opportunity?
No, there's no cap. And people will ask, if I applied for and received the payroll protection money or any other relief, will that disqualify me? And the answer is no. It has nothing at all to do with it. It might come in terms of the calculation on damages if they raise it as a defense, but it won't affect your claim, whatever. You can claim both.
I gotcha. Now, in New York specifically, I know they're rolling things out in various phases. Will the phase that you fall under impact whether or not you qualify, and also how much you qualify for? For example, I know we've got someone asking a question right now, and Anthony's asking, that he's hearing phase 4. I believe Anthony is actually a gym owner. Will that impact the decision at all?
No, it won't impact your decision whether we take your case or not, or whether you have a claim, in our opinion. It can affect and impact the amount you get, depending on when you're able to reopen. For example, if you had 12 months actual business loss and you're able to open after 4.5 months, even in some capacity, going forward, that would limit your claim because you would be recouping some of your income. You wouldn't have a full claim. But there's a thing that we should talk about. A lot of the coverages are talking about you need to have physical damage to the premises. There is some case law that says that the physical damage to the premises, even if it's microscopic, like in the case of the COVID-19 virus, which is on surfaces, is no less physical than an actual fire where the ceiling's caving in and the beams are smoking and smoldering. So there is some case law in the jurisdiction where we're bringing these cases that says that you don't need to have actual visible physical damage, that the virus can qualify. These cases are being heavily litigated. These are not slam dunk cases. I want to make that very clear. That's why we're taking them on a contingency fee. We're not asking people for money. We're just asking them to join the group, and we are going to do our best to pressure the insurance companies for a judicial resolution in our favor. And that's what's happening. And I'm part of that multi-district litigation at the highest levels. My partner is on the steering committee, or will be, and we're working together on that. We have about 100 lawyers working on this, and more than a few firms that are all partnering in this venture. That's the way these litigations work. Everybody gets assigned a different task, and the fee is split up among these various law firms and lawyers. So I want to encourage people to contact us. Now, presently, we're getting about 100 calls a day, and most of these cases are not cases we can physically handle. But if you have significant losses, where you're really losing big money and you have coverage, it's a real business. Auto groups, restaurants that are very busy, diners. I must have 20 diners I'm representing. Some of them are famous. You've heard of these diners. I'm not going to mention names. Famous restaurants that are in our group that we're representing. These are the cases that we think have the biggest success of winning. And the idea in our group is to gather together an elite group of claims, where we could give personal attention to those people and ride this to the finish line, because it's going to be a big fight. And that's why we can't obviously guarantee a win. Sure. But we think we have a fairly good shot, especially with the types of cases that we're bringing.
Now, is there a cutoff date for these small businesses to join this?
Yes, that's a great question. That's one of the problems, which is why I'm working around the clock. Don't be deceived by this neat appearance. I am desperately in need of a haircut, and wearing shorts. Okay.
Well, I got to be honest, I cheated a little bit, and I had my kids give me a haircut yesterday in preparation.
Well, I was offered a haircut today by one of my employees. I graciously declined, but
Yeah.
I will tell you that there is a short window to do this, because typically in any mass tort litigation, the statute of limitations runs afresh every time there's a new injury. This is not like that. This is what would typically be a 6-year statute of limitations in contract, but the insurance companies have shortened it to 1 year. It's in your policy. So that means you have 1 year to file this claim. Now, that sounds like a long time, except in the legal world, that is not a long time, because it takes a lot of work to file all these many claims. You mentioned 30 million businesses. We're never going to file 30 million claims, nor do we want to. But if I could file 1,000 really good cases, I would be happy to represent those people. The other thing is, we're already 4 months into this. So there's really only 8 months left on the statute of limitations. And I got to tell you, for the last 2 months, we're not taking any cases, because we don't want people to be relying on us to file in 2 months if we have a tremendous volume. So I say you have about another 4 to 5 months to do this. And then it's going to be over, and then the litigation begins in earnest. So if you're paying attention to this and you have a real business, I'm talking about a gym, a car dealership, a restaurant, a theater, a bowling alley, a tennis court,
a dental practice, right?
A dental practice, an orthopedic. My neighbor does surgeries. He has a surgery center for colonoscopies. Those are the kind of cases that should be brought, and they should be brought soon. They should contact us, and we'll get them in. We'll get those cases filed and get them at the top tier of this litigation.
Now, you were saying that there might be a few months left for people to apply, but there's no reason to wait that long. If you got a business, you were shut down, you sustained a loss. My recommendation as a small business owner is to get in touch with someone like you as soon as possible.
All my best friends and people I've known for 30 years, in one case, somebody I went to high school with is in my group. So these are people I care about. Obviously, I care about all my clients, but these are people I know personally. I got to walk past their house, and they're in this group, and I'm in the group myself, and we're doing our best to get this filed immediately. We're not waiting around. We're not sitting on it. And the more critical mass we can bring to bear in this litigation, the better chance we have for a favorable result, either a win or a settlement. Of course, it's always a possibility we could lose. So this is why we're not taking every case. All right. And if we lose, it's no risk to the client, but it's a tremendous risk to the lawyers.
Yeah. We've got some questions coming in before we, dive into some of the other topics that we're going to cover. Anthony, he says that his insurance denied him because there's a clause saying that pandemics are not included.
Right. There's a number of defenses that they're raising. One of them is what's called the pandemic exclusion clause. In 2006, right around there, when we had the SARS epidemic, the insurance companies, there's 160 of them, got together, and they decided that they dodged a bullet and inserted, sort of in the middle of the night, you got a little form in the mail saying that we're not covering pandemics. Now, and that's what they're telling their insurance, which I think is a little bit deceptive, because what they're not telling them is that you also have a rider that says you are covered if the government shuts you down. So my question to all you insureds, all you prospective clients is this: are you shut down because your employees are dying and blood is coming out of their mouth and they can't come to work? Are you shut down because you're too sick to get out of bed? Are you shut down for that? Or are you shut down because the government told you to shut down? Some politician somewhere decided that it was a good idea for you to shut down. And I think everyone knows the answer, which is that the government shut us down, not the pandemic. And so when you see that, you have two conflicting riders. It's axiomatic under Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence going back, hundreds of years, that the person or the entity, the party that drafted the contract, the language is always construed against them. So if there's an ambiguity, it must be construed against the insurance company. And these are the arguments we're raising in this litigation. Also, there are different time periods covered depending on how this coverage is found to exist or not exist. So it's still an open question as to what a final result is going to look like, but you won't have any result if you're not in the litigation. That much is obvious.
Absolutely.
They're never going to pay these cases voluntarily because there's 30 million potential claims and that would just tank the whole insurance industry.
Mhm.
So these carriers are rightfully terrified of that. But I believe that if you get a core group of really significant claims, that's what we're trying to do. And that's not to say we're shutting out the little guy. We just can't physically get to it. We
Yep.
can't physically get to these cases. And it's just one of those things. I'm already working pretty much around the clock.
Mm. How much does it cost? We have a question that came in, and someone wants to know, like, how much does it cost to apply or have you review a policy to be included in this group?
Nothing. Just you have to answer a few questions and let us review the policy free of charge, no obligation. If we decide we want the case, we'll send you a retainer, and you just have to sign it electronically. Everything's done electronically through DocuSign.
Gotcha. Now, one other person here is asking a question about the insurance premiums here, and they want to know, will their insurance premiums go up if they do file a business interruption insurance claim?
It's actually a strange question, but it's a question I get quite often.
Mhm.
Let me just tell you this. Everybody's insurance is going up after this, whether or not you file a claim.
Right.
So it would be a double insult if you didn't file a claim and your insurance goes up anyway, because it is going up. This is something that is going to affect a lot of people. There's a lot of, as you know, looting and damage going on. Everybody's insurance is going up. Just going to have to live with that. But it has nothing to do with whether you file a claim.
Now, if you can liken it to any other situation in history, would you say it would be similar to when the SARS epidemic?
Yeah, well, yeah, but that didn't become a pandemic. That didn't shut down businesses.
Mm.
So you had the potential for that, but it never went that far.
Right.
It never really got to the U.S. as I recall, not at all.
Yep.
So so it's not really like that. It's much more like a hurricane situation. Although in that case you're dealing with flood insurance and other issues. But this is a once in a lifetime event. I think. I hope.
Yeah.
Where this happens.
Now, I know you have a team of attorneys that are working diligently on this, and you've made it as easy as possible for businesses to get a hold of you. And I'm going to actually just show right now. This is the URL. Everyone can go to businessinterruptionapplication.com. And this is the website here. There's some really great resources for businesses, but also this allows you to connect with maybe even Dan himself. Dan, I know you're also handling the reviewing of some of these policies. Is that correct?
Right. And I want to make it clear, it says on the ad 20,000 to I don't know how many million, even the smaller cases can inquire. We're just not going to file them. What we are going to do is inventory those, and we'll see if there's any kind of any type of settlement that would take that into account. But it's not physically possible to file those kind of cases.
So in closing, Dan, is there anything else that you would like to share with small businesses or our community here that would encourage them to be a part of this?
Well, I want to encourage people to have hope and to, sort of hold on. And I think people in the United States is going to bounce back a lot, quicker than everybody's projecting. We're a very resilient country. It's a very resilient time with all the technology. And, we have the greatest business engine ever in the history of mankind in America. We have an entrepreneurial spirit in this country that is bar none. Nobody surpasses us. So I want to encourage people to think outside the box. Don't be suspicious of this type of a situation. I know, people are talking to me like, what's the catch? There's no catch. The risk is on the lawyers. We think we have a decent shot. It's not a slam dunk. The insurance company has defenses, but we think the climate is right to get a judicial resolution in our favor. What that looks like, we don't know. We'll know more as it unfolds. It's sort of a dynamic situation that's changing. But you have nothing to lose. I mean, that's the bottom line. Anybody who doesn't do this and has a significant loss is really being very foolish, because you have nothing to lose. And, you paid for the coverage. You bought coverage. The fact that the insurance company didn't word the policy correctly, that's on them. It's not on you. And, you should exercise your rights. But the only way to do it, as in my opinion, as far as I could see, is going to be involving yourself in this litigation. There's really no other way to do it. If you bring it to your personal lawyer and he files a claim, well, first of all, he's going to want money. But even if he doesn't, it's going to be transferred to this central litigation center, which is how these mass claims are handled. So you're going to end up in the same place anyway. You might as well start with people who are really involved in this, and we're connected at the highest levels. As I said, my partner in this is a president of the trial lawyers in Pennsylvania, and he reached out to us, and he is, really at the top of the food chain with this, and we're working hand in hand with him and a bunch of other firms. This is your best shot to win, to get a settlement, to get some money. You've already lost. That's the problem. They've already denied your claim. They pretend you don't even have the coverage. And yet I'm still having to talk intelligent people I think should have some smarts. I'm still trying to talk them into doing this when they have big claims. And, it's taking a lot of time because I guess, people don't understand it. It is a very unusual and a new situation. So I sort of get it, but it's really not that complicated. Sign on, no risk, and see what happens, and let us do the best we can. If we win, we'll surprise you one day. If not, we are going to eat the time and about the $5 million in costs that this group is spending on the litigation. $5 million, I was told. We've pooled together of the different firms involved their own money for costs. We're not even asking for costs. So I can't understand why people wouldn't try it. If you have a significant claim, again, a significant claim, and you have insurance, you should contact us.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for sharing about business interruption insurance. I know very few are as knowledgeable on this issue, and I know you've been fighting these insurance carriers for the better part of your career. So
my life.
That's right. Your entire life.
40 years worth.
Right. So there's a reason why you're considered one of the top 1% of attorneys in America. So I do appreciate you not only taking some time out to do this live show, but also to be so involved to advocate on the behalf of small businesses. So thank you.
You're welcome, Rob, and I hope that everybody is blessed and that somehow we all recover from this horrible situation.
Absolutely. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. So if you're a small business owner yourself, we want to encourage you, just like Dan was saying, reach out to the law firm, reach out to them. They made it as easy as possible. Again, we'll put up that URL for you guys. You can go to businessinterruptionapplication.com. You can start the process there and have one of our legal experts review your policy and see if, in fact, you do qualify. But even if you don't own a business, I guarantee you do. Just like Dan is doing, he's calling up his friends because he knows how important this is. And so he's calling up friends and families. I encourage everyone to do the same thing. If you know a small business owner, reach out to them and have them reach out to us by going to businessinterruptionapplication.com. Dan, thanks again one more time. And everyone, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next time on Ask Your Injury Lawyer. Take care.
Thank you, Rob.